What's up, travelers? What if half of your life didn't belong to you? What if the moment you badge into work, a second you wakes up, one who never sees the sun, who never knows their family, who never leaves the office, and what if that person is still you? That's Severance. And it isn't just sci-fi, it's a mirror. Let's talk about it. We already live with soft walls. Convenience as comfort, policies as permission, culture as hypnosis. We already rationalize the split. I need the job. I need the insurance. I need to keep my head down and stay quiet. We tell ourselves survival is wisdom. But what if it's the script? Here's the question no one wants to ask out loud. Is the life we trade for a paycheck worth the life that we lose? Hit the comments below with your thoughts. Let's test the cage with facts here. And then we'll see if the door in the sky is real. You know, like the one in Truman. In this show, Annies exist only to produce. They don't own their time or their story. Before we judge them, let's look at our own numbers, to be honest. CEO pay in America has grown by over 1,000% since 1978. The typical CEO made 290 times the average worker's pay in 2023. The ratio was 21 to 1 in 1965. It's hundreds to 1 now. Public company disclosures put the median S&P 500 CEO to worker pay ratio around 268 to 1. In some firms, it's far higher than that. Now ask yourself, travelers, if value were shared by the people who create it, would ratios like this even be possible? Hit the comments below. Remember when a job used to come with a pension, an actual promise? In the private sector today, only about 15% of workers have access to a defined benefit pension. The rest shoulder market risk themselves. That's the quiet severance. The company severs its duty to your old age. Unions imperfect, yes, but historically a counterweight. They have also been severed. Union membership fell 9.9% in 2024, a record low. Even as interest in organization ticked up, fewer workers have bargaining power. More accept the split because the alternative feels like a free fall. If your Audi gives half their working life to work, shouldn't your Any get security in return? What are your thoughts? Hit the comments below. Severance shows control by design. Micro rewards, surveillance, punishments wrapped in policy. Today's version isn't fiction. Automated management and worker surveillance, keystrokes, key logging, camera tracking, AI productivity scoring, expanded dramatically and is measurably linked to the worse well-being of workers, according to nationally respected survey research here at Equitable Growth. Return to office waves didn't roll back surveillance. They often added it. RFID, GPS, biometrics, AI attention tools. undercutting trust and warping what counts as productive. If the office is a panopticon, do we really choose to keep our heads down, or are we trained to? What are your thoughts? We say we value balance, yet America still racks up 1,800 to 1,900 hours per year on average, more than many of our peer nations, and leave a third of paid time off unused. That's not balance. That's cultural conditioning. The result looks like Severance. An innie optimized for output and an outie too exhausted to ask why. We've heard the gospel. Corporations must maximize shareholder value. That belief shapes everything. Wages, safety, layoffs, the speed of the hamster wheel. But is it actually the law? The most cited case is Dodge versus Ford in 1919, often waved around as proof of shareholder primacy. The real history is more nuanced, though. Even corporate law scholars note the case is frequently misread, and modern law gives boards significant discretion. Shareholder primacy is as much an ideology as a legal command. In 2019, the Business Roundtable of nearly 200 plus CEOs declared corporations should serve all stakeholders, not just shareholders. Now, 5 years on, and even they concede the work is unfinished. Translation: the must maximize at all cost mantra is a choice, not gravity. If it's a choice, who's choosing for you? There are models where workers share more in what they create, like profit sharing, gain sharing, employee ownership. Large-scale studies document their prevalence and the potential benefits that come along with them. More workers in certain surveyed firms reported at least one of these programs. Profit sharing alone covered 71% in that sample. But these models aren't the default. Why not scale what clearly works for motivation and fairness? No, we can't do that. If your labor builds the house, why do you only get to rent it? You don't get to own? Here's the big picture. The system is leveraged and hungry. The U.S. national debt just crossed $37 trillion in late August of this year, with $1.6 trillion added in the current fiscal year by July, and over $1 trillion in annual interest costs, interest before services. The tab gets paid somehow, and history says the bill rolls downhill. We tell ourselves, work harder, spend less, climb faster. But if the treadmill speed is set elsewhere, is the fall your fault, or is it the feature? Why don't people push back? Because the split is convenient. The outie wants calm, the innie absorbs the pain. We scroll away the agitation, self-censor to keep the job. Call it maturity. We normalize pay ratios we'd call obscene if in any other context. We accept surveillance we'd reject in our homes. We internalize the company's goals as our own. The greatest trick isn't force, it's consent to the script. Severance asks, Who are you if someone else controls your context? If an algorithm decides what you see, if a policy defines when you speak, if a compensation plan decides what risks you must bear, who are you really? The show is terrifying because it's honest. It says you can lose yourself without noticing. All it takes is routine. And it seems like we've been in quite a routine for a very long time. What ways can we challenge the system? Practical ways. Ask your leadership, publicly if needed, what percentage of profits reach non-executives? Back companies that publish and improve this number. The research shows it can scale. Your company already discloses CEO and median pay ratios if it's public. Insist on multi-year plans to bring it down. Benchmarks exist. Whether through unions or employee councils, coordination changes outcomes. The data on pay and protection is clear. Ask for written policies. What's monitored? Why? How long stored? Who sees it? Cite the documented mental health harms and moral effects. Opt out where possible. If pensions are gone, negotiate employer contributions that actually replace them. Automatic, generous, and portable. The current default shifts risk onto workers. Name it. If a product requires you to sever yourself, your time, your privacy, your values, close it. The business model you feed is the world you get. These aren't slogans. They're levers. Why do we work for companies where the top earners are the sum of thousands of workers below? If growth requires widening the split, is it growth or extraction? Why did pensions disappear while executive pay soared? Why do we accept surveillance at work we'd call authoritarian at home? Why is fiduciary duty invoked to justify decisions that harm the very stakeholders who create the value? When even CEOs admit the purpose of a corporation is broader. Why is the default endless profit, even if it burns the people and the planet that make the profit possible? If your answer is, that's just how it is, ask who taught you that. And what do they gain from teaching you that? Wholeness isn't a wellness perk. It's a refusal to split your soul for someone else's spreadsheet. It's insisting that the person who walks into work and the person who walks out are the same human with the same dignity, the same rights, and the same future. Severance ends with a risky act of truth. Ours will too. Because the door in the sky is always there. It just looks like a question you weren't supposed to ask. So here are my questions. Is the life you trade for wages buying you the life you want, or someone else's? If surveillance is the price of employment, what's your time actually worth? If profit sharing is possible and pensions were real, why not again? If fiduciary duty is a story, who gets to write the next chapter? And if your work self asks your home self for help, would you answer? Because Mark S. isn't just a character. He's us. He's the part of us that still believes in doing what's right, even when the system has broken us. He's grieving, he's confused, and he's torn between two versions of himself. But underneath all the manipulation, Mark wants to remember. He wants to hold on to love. He wants to live whole. And that's the haunting truth of Severance. We're all living like Mark. We work jobs that take pieces of our soul. We play along with systems we know are wrong because we tell ourselves, I need to survive. I need the paycheck. I can't risk losing everything. But what if the cost of survival is forgetting who we are? Mark fights back. He chooses to see beyond the walls. He risks everything to say, I am more than this system. I am more than a cog in Lumen's machine. And maybe that's the question we need to ask ourselves. Are we willing to risk comfort for truth? Are we willing to step outside the roles we've been assigned? Or will we keep making excuses why corporations carve our souls in half, selling us survival at the cost of our freedom? Because if Mark S. is us, then his story just isn't fiction. It's a parable. It's a warning. So, traveler, the choice is ours. Do we keep living severed lives, divided, compartmentalized, controlled, or do we fight to live whole, even if it costs us everything?